Hello and welcome to Film Fleadh TV. It's the last night of the Fleadh, so that means prizes. But we'll get to that in just a minute. We'll also hear from filmmakers who have made this week such a success. Now to the traditional Sunday night award ceremony. Here's the scene at the Town Hall Theatre a short time ago. Lots of people gathered in the hope of winning. Something which can give a big boost to your career. Daniel is here with me to reveal the winners. But before we do that, let's have a look at one of the big categories, Best Irish Film.
I need that money.
Who are you? My name's Joy. I know, false advertising, not the bringer of joy apparently.
Why are you going to Drogheda?
To visit someone, to give them something.
Imalat. Imalat.
And sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. My God.
Consider yourself lucky. Some lads don't get the chance to come back from an injury like this.
You can't always choose how long these things last. All you can do is make the most of them while they're there.
So Daniel, would you like to reveal the winner?
Yeah, so I'll reveal the winner of the Best Irish Film went to Lakelands. That was directed by Robert Higgins and Patrick McGivney. And then the Best Irish First Feature was The Sparrow, and that was directed by Michael Kinnerans.
Oh, fantastic. Well, a big congratulations to all of them. Another hotly contested category is that for Best Irish Documentary. This year has seen some impressive films tackling a whole range of topics. Here's a taster.
The most reliable source of carbon-free power is falling out of favor. I'm talking about nuclear energy.
Hold on. It's about the future. It's about protecting this planet. It's about creating a beautiful world, not going back into the past.
You don't mess with Baikal.
You don't want to make mistakes. Mistakes have consequences.
So Daniel, who has won this award?
Yes, so we have the Best Irish Documentary went to Nothing Compares, and that was directed by Catherine Ferguson. And then the Best Short Documentary went to Call Me Mommy by Tara O'Callaghan.
Oh, fantastic. Well, the very best of luck to all of them. The Fleadh is all about encouraging the next generation of filmmakers. So, the New Talent Award is a big one. Here are the contenders. So who are the lucky winners for this award, Daniel?
Yes, so the Bingham Ray New Talent Award went to Aina Hardwick and Danielle Galligan from Lakelands.
And another huge congratulations. And it just so happens that Aina Hardwick spoke to Daniel and told him all about his new film.
I like it here.
Lakelands is a debut feature from Paddy McGivney and Robert Higgins, and basically it's set in Longford. It's set in kind of GA small town community, and centres around Cian, who is a handy footballer, a farmer, and after an accident sustained on a night out, it kind of sends his GA playing career out of whack, and the rest of his life kind of into a bit of a tailspin. So sort of about how he deals with not being able to do the things that give him his meaning in life. I mean, with this, it was so delicately written on the page. I kind of felt I didn't have to I felt quite close in a lot of ways to the character. So I guess you kind of start off with what you know and what you don't know, and like where you're similar and where you're not similar, and then sort of start building from there. So I guess the practical things like working on the farm and getting back into football training for the first time in 12 years, which was interesting. You kind of start to build up those layers and I guess just make it feel real for yourself, fill out that backstory. And we were very lucky, myself, Danny Galligan, Lorcan Cranich, we got together with Paddy and Rob and we got to kind of workshop a lot of it, rehearse a lot of it months before shooting. So you get a kind of you build up a rapport with people you're working with, which in something like this is so important, because I think it had to feel like we really knew each other intimately and had a long history, and that was very easy with Danny and Lorcan because I knew them both and they're both phenomenal actors. So yeah, we rehearsed, we had loads of script meetings to kind of like go through, months in advance, go through each scene by scene and kind of tease it out and really distill it down to what it was, what it was about. So for me, it was a very special process because I had never gotten to be that involved in a film. I'd never gotten to have that kind of personal involvement in it, in the lead up to it. The whole shoot felt very creative and very kind of natural and very easy. Not easy, but there was an ease to the kind of relationships and the kind of on-set life, which just made it such a good place to work. Reading Normal People kind of broke my heart, and I really felt connected with the world of it. And I guess with Connell's struggles, Rob's struggles, that they're sort of, we're in a generation where I suppose we're kind of we're talking about that more, and we're confronting it head on. And talking about it is one thing, but portraying it on screen or getting to share that, I think, is really, really important. It's a total honour, I mean, I've seen, peers of mine be up for that over the last few years, and I've followed it closely and definitely, wanted that someday. And it feels very special for it to happen now. The first kind of fully in-person festival in two years now, so it feels like a real honour. And I'm up against lots of peers and lots of friends of mine who've done amazing work. The stories that I was involved in this festival, for whatever reason, all felt very personal. And maybe it was just because I got to have more involvement in them. So it's a real honour.
Short films are a big part of the Fleadh. They have been screened every day, along with Short films are a big part of the Fleadh. They have been screened every day, along with question and answer sessions and workshops.
I'm not going anywhere until Mum's done every single list.
Right, we do Mum's list and then we go down to Margaret's. Deal?
Deal.
How many's on there?
100.
I like to say that we're the biggest home for Irish shorts in Ireland, and well, probably the world. So yeah, we're quite well known for premiering the new hot ticket and the new hot films. We get a lot of submissions, and we carefully go through each and every one of them, goes through a team, and we find the films that work best for us this year, and then we kind of launch them onto the world stage. So some go off to some big festivals, some just want their screening in the Fleadh and they're happy. Everybody's a little bit different and kind of has different things and plans in mind.
There's indicators of retinitis pigmentosa. It's a degenerative eye disease that can cause tunnel vision and up to 80% vision loss.
This year we had well over 1,000, if closer to 2,000 shorts submitted. So you're trying to get that down to 105 shorts. So unfortunately you just can't have everything you like. And sometimes themes clash, so we end up picking one over the other, or tones, or problem in Ireland we have is we have a lot of the same actors. So sometimes I'm watching something and I really like it, but I already have 4 films of that actor in, so I can't put So those 4 films have to go across 4 programs, because I don't like to have the same actor in the same program, because I just think it's kind of jarring for the audience. So sometimes, unfortunately, one of those don't make it in. So there's always just like little decisions that are made along the way. Usually we have a crop of like, you know, a couple, nearly 200 that are our favourite, and then it starts programming from there, and you get it down to, you know, far less than that. Sometimes I watch something and I like it, but I know it will do really, really well with an audience. And that was hard during COVID, because you had to nearly change some of that programming style, because sometimes you just don't know how it's going to land at home when people are by themselves. So that was definitely difficult. And then even length is different. You know, people love shorts, so like, you know, a 4 or 5 minute short, but at home it wasn't working as well. Some of the longer paced stuff worked, because people were able to sit and relax, and it felt less like social media content, you know, because when it's in a screen it feels like a film, but sometimes when it's on a laptop you feel like you're scrolling through Instagram if it's too short. So that was something we took into consideration over COVID, and now we've had to kind of flip that back again. So length is definitely something it plays around with, and kind of comedy definitely works better with an audience. So yeah, there was a lot of decisions that's the difference between the two, and we just got used to how to do it online, and now we're thankfully back in person. There's a lot more I would like to say, like, courageous filmmaking in there this year. From the submissions, you could see certain trends coming up, and obviously diversity being a big one. But I'm a big believer in not about us without us. So there was a lot of people making films about other people's stories, or, you know, so that was becoming a big decision of kind of that diversity box, and people believing in it or not believing, or doing it for the right reasons or wrong reasons. So there's some beautiful ones there that are truly diverse and rich, and have really, really great people involved. So that's kind of something that's really cropped up this year, is that richness in kind of the different voices coming up. I personally love slightly more weirder films and things that are testing and trying to do something different. I'll always kind of enjoy that over something a little bit more commercial. But also, while the commercial films still definitely have their place and they're great in a film, I like to start or finish with something a little bit edgier, and we've got quite a few of those this year. I think maybe COVID's helped people kind of sit with stuff and develop it a little bit more and think outside the box. Really important that filmmakers see other filmmakers' work, because it's the best way of figuring out other people's styles, who you want to work with, and then to be able to sit on the steps outside and have a little conversation after. It's far easier than having to like find someone's email and, you know, cold put yourself out there instead. It's like, let's, you know, we're all having a pint and we'll have a chat about it, or you go into that feature later and have a, you know, chat about that. So it's definitely really important for moving film forward, and for mental health in general. It's just important that we're all back together and communal and enjoying the films, because it's difficult for the filmmakers that premiered stuff online, that just, you know, you do all this work and then it's left hanging there, and you still get great numbers and great audiences, but it's a weird, like, unfinished, you know. So yeah, it's made a big difference to be back all together in sold out screens.
And over to you again, Daniel. Who won?
So we have the Tiernan McBride Award for Best Short Drama, and that went to Wednesday's Child by Laura O'Shea.
Fantastic. And are there any other awards that you want to mention before we finish with the awards tonight?
Yes, so we have the James Horgan Award for Best Animation. That went to Soul Office by Ryan Loughran. And then finally we have the Peripheral Visions Award, which went to Bad Women, and that was directed by Nicholas Lindgren.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations again to all involved. Thank you, Daniel. The Janes is a documentary which tells the remarkable story of a group of women who defied the law in Chicago in the early 70s. They provided women with a safe place to access abortion services. Their arrest has striking parallels with what is happening in the US today.
We were ordinary women trying to save women's lives, but
we were criminals. We were felons.
I think it was beautiful. I love the way it was produced. I loved that all of the background visuals, they took pieces from the time and not just kind of like newer ones. I don't really like when documentaries do that, when they're set back in the time, so I really enjoyed how everything was you were set in the time period and it felt like you were immersed inside of that.
You couldn't not pay attention to what was going on.
Fetal death is murder.
You could not work as a pregnant woman. If you weren't married, you were out of luck.
They were terrible situations.
Sad, very emotional, especially we're American, so the recent overturning, it's all hitting fresh.
Horrifying.
For most of the nation, in '72, abortion was illegal.
We had to go underground.
The woman would be given the address to the front.
It was probably obvious to neighbors what was going on.
It's incredibly relevant, not just with the recent overturning, but also with just sort of like in recent years, all the conversation that's been going around with Roe v. Wade and talks about abortion and whatnot within the American political spectrum. So I just felt like it was a really good commentary on what it used to be and what it could potentially become again.
The overturn of Roe v. Wade was devastating. Where I went to college, the abortion clinics locally have all had to close down. Galway Pro-Choice is linked up with a bunch of grassroots groups in the US and they have had to shut their doors. It's very sad. And those sort of grassroots groups are going to continue helping people get abortion care, but it's just an added layer of sort of sadness. And it's kind of a dark time, I would say.
It was expected to happen since we have a conservative majority in SCOTUS, but it still was hit very hard with people, especially me, caused a lot of rage, a lot of sadness.
Well, it did happen in Ireland in 1983 when they invoked the 8th Amendment, and I could see it happening again because there's a similar group of people over here that we know that run these sort of crisis pregnancy centers called Gianna Care, and they're hugely funded by groups in the US. They have a lot of money. It was raised in the doll that they have recently. They had €80,000 in their bank, and say for example we have like €200 in our bank, and these groups are not going to stop fighting. Our legislation right now is very limited in terms of access, and also very few doctors are actually providing abortion care. So it could be very easy in Ireland for those rights to roll back even further if people don't keep pushing forward.
It dawned on me how big an issue this was. Jane was an outrageous undertaking by a lot of smart women.
And similarly in Ireland, before the repeal, we had women operating similar networks. If you remember those stickers you'd see in bathroom stalls about safe abortion pills, those groups still existed. So these films are really empowering for people who didn't really know about that, and they show kind of like the underneath.
I think it's important because it destigmatizes abortion care, and it educates folks about abortion, where we were and where we have to go next.
The septic abortion ward was full every day.
Women did awful things.
They were literally dying because they were women.
It's important that people know the history and how many women died, and they had to have things like septic abortion wards in hospitals. We don't know about that because we haven't had to live through that. Now it's like incoming future that we're gonna have to live through.
Sometimes you have to stand up to illegitimate authority, and sometimes they're unjust laws that need to be challenged.
The film did a really good job of highlighting that it is a women's issue all around, not just American women, not just white women, not just black women, every woman.
Making film is of course an art, but it's also a global industry worth billions of euro. Here at the Fleadh, the business side of things is a big deal. Producers get the chance to pitch ideas and attract funding for their projects.
I'm Laemmle, the coordinator of the marketplace at the Galway Film Fleadh. The marketplace coordinates pre-scheduled meetings between producers who have projects in various stages of development and financiers who include distributors, sales agents, film funds, broadcasters and producers. The Galway Film Fleadh is the only marketplace in Ireland, and it offers a unique opportunity for producers both based in Ireland and internationally to meet with financiers, again both Irish, international, European, who can be distributors, sales agents, broadcasters, film funds. It's a uniquely intimate atmosphere where you get privileged access to some of the world's best financiers, including Netflix, Film 4, BBC, RTE, a whole raft of film funds from Ireland and Europe and United States as well. Pre-scheduled 20-minute meetings throughout the Friday and Saturday of the marketplace. So yes, it's like, as you said, it's like speed dating. You have both sides have a schedule and they move around pitching their projects throughout the 2 days in 20-minute slots. The marketplace was conceived to be alongside the film festival as a complementary sidebar, if you like. It's where projects get developed from an early stage, and then we hope eventually that these projects come back to us to screen at the Film Fleadh. So it's I feel like it's a circle that we hope to complete. So Lakelands was the winner of the Bankside Award last year, and winning that has helped the film go on to be completed and to attract distribution here in Ireland. They said it was a huge boost to the film for Robert and Patrick, and we're delighted to be screening the film this year. It's obviously been a very quick process from winning the award last July to having a completed film to screen this July. Well, the marketplace has been running for many years, and it is a great opportunity for Irish and international producers to apply with their projects, and priority is given to those who would have a percentage of finance and a completed script in place. But we welcome projects at all stages of development, and it's a wonderful platform for you as a producer or a production company, to meet financiers and to meet industry professionals in a relaxed and intimate atmosphere.
A lonely Irishman snorts a line of powdered horn and then finds he has the head of a rhino. By any standards, that's an interesting premise for a film. Throw in some unicorn nightclubbers, smugglers and biologists, and you have a recipe for an interesting cinema experience.
I like the idea of audiences questioning what is real and what's not, what's fiction. I think it makes it more perhaps dynamic, allowing audiences, I think, to make up their own mind with what the story is about.
The blur between creativity and imagination, what's real, what's not real.
Well, there are endless interpretations, and it's easy to get lost in the human imagination.
But a lot of questions to answer at the end of it. Yeah, really super.
And it's also like comes from my own like questioning what is documentary, and questioning this form. I feel like the moment we put a camera in a situation, it somewhat alters the reality, and we can expand on that reality.
We hunt the rhino, and then we become the rhino. What then? Do we hunt ourselves?
The hunter becomes the hunted.
I want the audience to kind of question and contemplate and imagine and form their own conclusions.
But it's a real mix between absurd theatre and documentary information, all presented in just a real engrossing film. It's fantastic.
you ever seen anything like it?
No. Not a fella with walking around with a rhino and mask on his head. It's brilliant.
And if you could describe it in one word.
I think shocking.
Sensory.
Amazing. Thought-provoking. So creative but educational as well.
I do what I do for the money, yes. But the money is for my family.
A lot of what I learned is that a lot of the reason for poaching is very false and mythical, so I think adding that element of fictional kind of like played into that.
Some people believe that the horn possessed the supernatural power of terrestrial purification, boosting virility, fertility, power and status.
I think it's quite interesting. It's like, you know, what is this? Is this real? Is it not? Is this interview even real? And I often think if the world is a stage, it's like, do we want to continue performing the way we are now?
The power of our imagination can take a sinister turn.
One family's quest to bring international cinema to America is the subject of a new documentary. Only in theatres shows how hard it can be in this industry to take the road less travelled.
The Laemmle theatre chain, as soon as my wife and I moved here, it became second nature.
It was a family business from the beginning.
They're a little something like the American family farm.
The documentary follows a multi-generational family business that runs an art house cinema chain in Los Angeles. It is a renowned art house cinema chain because it has influenced and supported so many filmmakers for almost 100 years. And the original sort of progenitor, his name was Carl Laemmle. He had come from, he's a German Jew who came to America and ultimately started a little movie studio called Universal Pictures. Made 800 movies, including Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback of Notre Dame and All Quiet on the Western Front, etc. But his cousins started this movie theater, and I guess what's important to the international premiere anyway is just that Max Laemmle, one of the two brothers who opened the cinema, is accredited with bringing foreign cinema to the United States and won the French Legion of Honor for what he did to actually sort of elevate the French New Wave, etc.
Max was the key person in making foreign language films available and accessible.
The French New Wave found its home here.
They show movies the AMC won't show.
You know, the Laemmle Theatre basically is known for their support of art house cinema, which includes, you know, foreign, independent, and documentary film. And if you are to, on any given day, go to buy a ticket there, you are dealing with a certain amount of curation and know that what you're walking into is extraordinary, that it is unique and remarkable and off the beaten path. What they provide is an alternative to kind of the popcorn movies, I guess, or the, I was going to say.
Greg did not grow up planning on running Laemmle theaters. He would have been a great rabbi, I know that for a fact.
My brother-in-law didn't want to come to America, and Kurt was convinced that the Nazis were coming.
The story is, you know, really ultimately about a family. It is really at the center of this, and their struggle, I should say, to try and survive. They were intent on doing so, and really it's a Job-like kind of a journey to try and get to the other side. What struck me about the story was that here was a family whose singular purpose was to support artists. That's what was important to them. And that seemed, particularly in a world of conglomeration and with everything, every big fish eating every small fish, a family business that supported artists as a purpose and as a family mission seemed extraordinary and something to really draw attention to. So that was really the inspiration of the story.
The other theaters had all closed during the early 50s when television hit.
There was a mission. Some call it the great art of the 20th century. The Laemmle theaters have always been a bastion of that great art.
the way we know, movies can actually, in a very short amount of time, sort of restructure your DNA. You know, you can sit in a movie and just be taken somewhere else, and that is singularly what they provide. So what we also know is that cinemas around the world have been really suffering, not even before the pandemic, right? I mean, there's been obviously, you know, streaming, but not just streaming, sort of a generational sort of shift towards maybe not seeing as many films in theaters, and this is an art form that's 125 years old, and it is so I want to say designed for its maximum impact, to be on a big screen, to be you know, absorbed in a way whereby which, you know, you really feel it more deeply, because it's in that venue. So what do we lose if those theaters go away? And that's part of what we ask.
Will enough people want to go in theaters to make the theatrical business still viable?
We're always going to want, in some level, that experience of sitting in that movie theater. We're going to believe that people are going to come back to that.
And that's it from Film Fleadh TV for tonight and for this year. It's been great to have the cinemas open again and the crowds back. And to top it all off, the sun was shining. Until next year, slán go fóill.